Imagine waking up in a strange room. A lab, maybe? You're strapped to a medical chair. You feel a prick in your arm. Your mind starts to race, colors swirling, thoughts unraveling. A man in a suit takes notes from behind a one-way mirror as you're given a powerful hallucinogen, like LSD, without your consent. This isn't a scene from a science fiction movie. This was Project MK Ultra. The story begins in the aftermath of World War II, a time thick with suspicion and fear. The Cold War was just beginning to cast its long, dark shadow across the globe. The US government, and specifically the CIA, became consumed by a terrifying idea: that their enemies, particularly the Soviet Union and China, were mastering the art of brainwashing. They believed these adversaries were developing techniques to control human minds, to turn prisoners of war against their own country, and to create sleeper agents. The paranoia was palpable. They couldn't risk falling behind in this new, invisible arms race. The race for control of the human mind. So, in 1953, the Central Intelligence Agency launched one of its most secretive and notorious programs. Its name was MK Ultra, and its mission was to explore the frontiers of mind control, interrogation, and psychological manipulation by any means necessary. But MK Ultra wasn't just about theoretical research or poring over documents. It was about hands-on, often brutal experimentation on real people. Many of these test subjects had no idea what was happening to them, and they certainly never gave their consent. The program's architects, led by figures like CIA Director Alan Dulles and chemist Sidney Gottlieb, sought a truth serum, or a way to completely break down a person's identity. To achieve this, they tested a frightening cocktail of methods. They administered high doses of LSD to prisoners, psychiatric patients, and even random civilians picked up in bars. They used hypnosis, electroshock therapy, sensory deprivation in pitch-black, soundproof rooms, and prolonged sleep deprivation to see if they could shatter the human psyche. One of the most tragic and well-known cases is that of Frank Olson. He was a U.S. Army biochemist and CIA employee who was secretly dosed with LSD during a work retreat. 9 days later, he fell to his death from a New York City hotel window under extremely mysterious circumstances. His family was told it was a suicide, a story that would unravel decades later to reveal a much darker truth. Frank Olson was just one of many whose lives were irrevocably damaged or destroyed by these experiments. For nearly 2 decades, MK Ultra operated in the deepest shadows. But secrets this dark rarely stay buried forever. As whispers grew louder and media pressure mounted in the early 1970s, the CIA knew it had a massive problem on its hands. In a desperate attempt to cover their tracks, the director at the time, Richard Helms, ordered all files related to MK Ultra to be destroyed in 1973. He thought he had erased history. But he missed some. A small trove of financial records survived, misfiled, and forgotten. In 1975, these records were discovered, sparking a full-blown congressional investigation led by Senator Frank Church. The Church Committee hearings pulled back the curtain on the CIA's illegal activities, and what they found was deeply disturbing. They uncovered a systematic and widespread abuse of power. One investigator famously stated that the program's activities showed a gross violation of the rights of individuals. The truth, or at least a fraction of it, was finally coming to light. With the government's cover-up partially blown, survivors and their families began to come forward, sharing their harrowing stories. They spoke of permanent psychological trauma, crippling anxiety, memory loss, and psychosis. Some people only learned what had happened to them decades later when they stumbled upon declassified documents or connected the dots of their fractured memories. Brave individuals sued the government, fighting for acknowledgement and justice for the horrors they endured. Yet the true scale of MK Ultra remains unknown. Because so many documents were destroyed and many others remain classified to this day, countless victims were never identified. Their stories and the full extent of the program's reach might be lost to history forever. It's a chilling reminder that the human cost of these experiments is immeasurable. So, Was this all just a panicked, misguided response to the Cold War? A series of failed experiments, or was it something deeper? Some researchers and historians argue that MK Ultra wasn't an end in itself, but rather the beginning. They believe it was a foundational part of a much larger, ongoing web of psychological operations. The techniques they honed, using drugs, hypnosis, and media manipulation, didn't just disappear. There's evidence that related research continued under different names, exploring things like remote viewing and more advanced forms of psychological warfare. Is it really so hard to believe that these programs didn't just end, but simply went deeper underground, evolving with technology and becoming even harder to detect? The question isn't just what they did back then, but what they might be doing now. In the end, the story of MK Ultra serves as a powerful and unsettling lesson. This isn't a wild conspiracy theory pieced together from blurry photos and anonymous sources. It's a documented historical fact, an abuse of power committed by a government against its own people, all under the guise of protecting national security. It reminds us that we must remain vigilant, question authority, and demand transparency. Because sometimes the most shocking conspiracy isn't a theory at all. It's the one the government has already admitted to. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this dive into history as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Next time we're investigating HARP. Is it just a science project, or is it capable of controlling the weather? Let me know in the comments. Do you think MK Ultra was a one-off, or is there more they're still hiding? See you in the next video.